Speaking of Facebook marketing, we're going to talk a little bit about that. But yeah, so this is the educational component. And so we just want to go at a very high level and talk to you a little bit about Facebook advertising. We have a lot of clients in the work that Ryan and I do that ask us about this. And so we feel with a little bit of education, it could be an opportunity for you guys to implement this in your business. It's a really, really powerful tool. It's a whole different category than what Google AdWords is doing. And so we think with a little bit of knowledge, you could, maybe get some ideas going here. So, all right, next slide, please. It's fancy. There's two different types of ads, that I just talked about. We have Google and we have Facebook. And Google, usually people who are using Google, as you guys know, you're searching for something. You're entering a search term, you're entering a keyword, and you're looking for something. With Facebook, you want to be shown something. You have your friends, you have things that you like and follow, and when you go and scroll through your feed, there is a whole bunch of information that's laid out for you, and you kind of can scroll through and interact as you will. Searching for something, show me something. You can go through both of those. Yeah, boom. So, the way that Google advertising currently works, Google AdWords works is, you pick out your keywords, you pick out your location. This is really high level, but, and then as people use the search terms, whether they're, what they call long tail keywords, which are really detailed descriptions, or they're, more common keywords, more aggressive keywords, Google displays results for you based on what you search. So if I searched for a mini drone with an HD camera, I would expect to see shopping things show up, and then these kind of featured ads here that Best Buy and Amazon have paid for to target those keywords. Again, that's searching for something. What Facebook does is it's showing you something based on how you're interacting with content. It's also based on who you are as a person. Believe it or not, if you use Facebook, everything that you do on Facebook is tracked. It's just that's just how it works. They know how old you are when you put in your birthday. People wish you happy birthday. There you go. They know your gender. They know where you live. They know where you're accessing. They know what things you like, what things you don't like, what movies you like, what songs you like. And they take all that information and they allow advertisers like us and marketers, people who have companies in the room, to target advertising to those people. So we're going to jump into this. This is from my feed. So I obviously do a lot of marketing and interact with clients. They say, Salesforce, I probably fit their criteria, and they say, I might be looking for a good CRM. They pop up here, I might click through and go follow the ad. Well done, Salesforce. Yeah. So kind of what does this look like? Well, first of all, as a marketer, you need to know who's buying your product. And it's not always just one persona. There could be, certain people that fall into one category, certain people that fall into another, based on geographically where the locations of your business are. There's thousands and thousands, if not a million variables that it could be, but you need to understand before you jump into something like targeting who you're selling to. So these are just kind of things things that you can select in Facebook: geographic location, age, gender, ethnicity, relationships, education, work, home, financial interests, behaviors, and much more. And so here is an example. We're talking about TC New Tech. So we, if we were to profile people in the room, what are some things that we would want to target someone who might come to this event? Anybody have any ideas? Anything out there? If you were to target somebody who is TC New Tech, what would?
Just business.
Small business, maybe geographically, you probably wouldn't want to target somebody who lives in California. So we'd want to target someone who lives up here in northern Michigan, which we've done here. So we've taken 4 cities: Charlevoix, Traverse City, Elk Rapids, and Frankfurt, drawn a 25-mile radius around them, put that into our system. We're also going to look at things that, again, maybe a small business, or it could even be technological interests. Apple, Engadget, Entrepreneur Magazine, Fast Company, things that they've liked, interacted with, shared in the past. Facebook has all that data. They can build a profile on you that way. We have small business up here, and then we can even look at behaviors. So technology early adopters. If you take a picture of your new iPhone and talk about your unboxing and people share it, Facebook could put you into that category. It's possible. They're looking at everything you're doing, believe it or not. So then we get a profile, okay? So we're saying we're looking at those 4 city locations. And this is all just done in the Facebook ad tool, which is awesome. You can literally build all these audiences. You can save them, name them. So depending on the different type of campaign that you're doing, depending on the different product or service you're selling, you have all these profiles and they're saved, and you can remarket to these people again and again. So we have our location stuff, we have our interests, we have our behaviors, we have our age group, and our potential reach with all of those factors in that area is 5,500 people. So 5,500 people, depending on your ad spend, fit into that category.
I was just going to say, on top of that, this is kind of like a limited space for this room. So we only need to target, as highly targeted as we can get to, bring people that are really tech enthusiasts to this kind of, meeting space. Mm-hmm. So again, it just gives you these options to really dial down and get to, your actual person.
Yep, and the thing to think about is that this doesn't have to be straight advertising. You can use Facebook ads and Facebook's delivery system with targeting to deliver things like boosted content, So if you have a really good blog post or a story that's linking back to something else, if you're actually running an advertising campaign, if you're showing a video, for example, running a commercial or a pre-roll or kind of clickbait in that sense. But you could also use it for if you're a restaurant and you're running a one-day special. Target people in your area, people that might have interest. If you're a American food restaurant, you can put that as someone's favorite, put that geographically located, run that special for 24 hours, and put it out there, and it shows up in people's feeds. It's about a 15-minute approval process once you create the ad, so your content gets out there right away, which is really cool. I have a client of mine that's out of Detroit that does wedding services, and so whenever we do anything on Facebook for them, all we do is targeting engaged couples, because I don't need to target to somebody who's married or someone who's not in a relationship at all, so we can really kind of put our advertising dollars to really good use and narrow that focus. Is that all we got?
That's all we got.
Am I within the 5 minutes? Was I too long?
are,
Okay.
yes.
I talk really fast, so there's a lot of information there, but super, super high level. Just kind of an intro to someone, if they haven't looked at it before. I'm sure a lot of you guys, if you're business owners, you probably have looked at it, but it's a really cool tool, and if you're not taking advantage of it for at least boosted content or sharing content off your blogs, don't just put it out there to everybody. Figure out what your personas are and build some target audiences, and I guarantee you're going to have a better retention rate on those pieces. So.
Well, I noticed that Facebook is actually looking at my Google searches. I did something entirely separate from Facebook, looking for a specific item at Sears.com.
Yeah.
So that is what we call remarketing. It's a little bit different than this. And so
Yeah.
what it's doing is it's working with the partners, and Google does the same thing. So if you look at a certain site, for example, like if you go onto the wedding client again, if you go onto his site and then go onto another site that's an ad affiliate with Google, you'll see advertisements for his site. It's a little bit of a different category, but
Yeah, and Facebook just opened that ability to do that just in the last, basically a year, to kind of really make that a robust part of their marketing strategy. So yeah, that's why they're following you.
Yeah,
on
that
the-
was really
on your page.
creepy. I was looking
Yep.
for a very specific part of my refrigerator, and all of a sudden, here's an ad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it works.
Yeah.
It gets you thinking about.
yeah,
it all the time.
it's a numbers don't lie situation, and it's everyone's business is different, and everyone's need for this kind of tool is different. It's not a blanket success rate, but where it does work, it works really well, and there are conversions. It might creep you out to be like Facebook's following me, but people click on it and people buy products. That's
Is your group measuring ROI when you're doing the social stuff? And if so, what type of companies are you seeing profit when you're doing these things?
We have a huge range of companies, and everybody's actual return on investment number is different, based on whatever they're selling or service that they're offering and stuff. So we try to figure that out, and then everything that we do in the ad space is tracked, and we
yeah,
really just try to
there's
dial-
conversion tracking pixels.
Yeah.
So if certain forms and landing pages are filled out, or if certain, even tying into company CRMs, like if that's all been followed through, we can track that back to the ad. But sometimes with this, it's just brand awareness.
Yeah.
Even beyond the straight, click through to conversion, it's getting that content out there to the people that could be potential clients. It depends on where you're at in the funnel. If you're at a really high level and you're reaching people that could be potential clients, you might just be seeding them content. But if you're further down the line, you might be having something that has a conversion tracking. But again, Facebook has opened up, immensely, and is offering all these tools, which is really cool.
So is that, sorry,
Yeah.
so is that mostly you're not seeing a lot of ROI?
Oh yeah, you are. We definitely are.
So
Yeah.
what kind of companies?
Yeah.
Well, if you just take even the wedding, like Mike's Staff Productions, there's a certain number that we're trying to hit for anything that we're doing. in
Yeah,
the
so
marketing
we'll
space.
set a goal there. So for
Yeah.
normal conversion leads, what quantifies the investment. But it just depends on the amount of content. It's kind of it's a varied thing. Like I can tell you, we get
You go from that. I mean,
20,000 video views, with a couple thousand click-throughs to the website for a monthly video ad. But then again, we could put up a boosted post and it gets 100 click-throughs. So really, it depends on the content and depends on the goal with that piece.
We also do for another company, they have an app, and their actual conversion number has to be less than 50 cents for someone actually downloading the app, or because they have kind of a freemium model. They're going to get them in. They have a certain conversion. All that takes place, and we have this kind of number that we have to hit for anything we're doing Facebook marketing wise. And then Facebook gives us this ability to track all that all the way through to the point at which someone actually downloaded it in the App Store, and we can even see it even further than that when they actually purchase the app. So you get the whole picture, and that's something I don't think I've ever seen in any other kind of you can do it in different senses of that, but Facebook is pretty robust in that. So the answer is yes.
You mentioned a 15-minute approval process?
Yep.
Is that an automated thing to check for,
Well,
like if I was selling pornography blocking routers, for example?
yeah, so there's a bunch of there's a bunch of different stipulations that kind of go through, and they, from what I'm aware, there are usually a set of eyes that gets put on this stuff. There are some algorithmic stuff that happens. There's certain restrictions with print ads, what I say print ads in Facebook, graphical ads in Facebook, where the amount of text you can have, and there's different things with images and obviously censored content. So if there's something that's really complicated, they'll send it back and they'll mark it up and say, hey, you need to change this. This text is too big. This content doesn't work. This is why your ad is rejected. But all in all, like kind of once you get a system down and you kind of set some parameters for yourself, it's 15 minutes for me. So.
I may be going in the wrong direction, but what about the power of the messaging apps that are out there, Twitter and WhatsApp? Is that a different universe completely?
Yeah, I mean, this is basically saying you're targeting users of Facebook. That's what we're, from an education standpoint today. It's
Yeah, they all have their different,
yeah, because Google AdWords, we could sit up here and talk about that for a really long time too. Whole different monster. But yeah, we just want to, like Lisa said, when we get together and we plan these monthly meetings, we want to try to bring some education stuff back. So for us, this is not a sales pitch. What we're trying to do is kind of just give out some information and answer some questions. And you can feel free to ask us more questions after. We're always happy to give out free information on this stuff because it's cool. And this is like-minded people. So.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback a couple comments. Facebook ads doesn't really have a return on investment from personal experience. Not that anybody cares about my first, but this is kind of funny. I managed a local business for several years, and Facebook was brand new, and I said, we've got to do this, we've got to brand, we've got to do this. What's the ROI? What's the ROI? What's the ROI? Well, we spent a bunch of money, and I could track the time that it took me to enter all the information and do whatever, but it really counted heavily on people at the front desk asking the right questions to get that information. And then it wasn't within the margin, so they wanted to pull it. So then I threw out it's consistency over time. You're really not going to get much. Then we did it again, and we threw out a Survey Monkey to every single person that came in and got a service, and it went pew. So if you're not doing the data collection on the end of the purchase, you're really not going to see the true investment that you've made. And that worked really well for me. So if anybody's in that space or has operational people, you really want to make sure that you complete the loop at the end where they're spending the money.
Yeah. And there's something really interesting too, just kind of piggyback on that one more thought, but there are different uses for it too, beyond even just marketing. I had another client that used it for hiring people. They were able to put up a job position to a landing page and targeted people who fit the criteria very specifically in a certain region, and they ran a campaign that lasted 2 weeks, and they got a couple hundred submissions for a job application that might not have necessarily been seen on Indeed. Like they were able to put it in someone's feed as they're scrolling through. It's like, are you this person? Do you want this job? And they were able to click through. So there's just different uses for it beyond just straight marketing. But it's cool.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks for letting us chat, guys.